What's good, you guys? You know who it is, man. It's your boy, Mr. Relentless Lex, and I'm back like I never left this mother. Yes, Sirski. Hello, somebody. All right, man. So we got some crazy things going on lately. Tory Lanez gets stabbed. Chris Brown gets arrested. And Cassie was a pure drug head. Cassie said she took more drugs than the drugs took. I don't know how to put it, but hey, she took a lot of drugs. That's what I'm trying to say. And been urinated on plenty of times. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for the Chris Brown being arrested for supporting Tory Lanez. All right. Spicy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Impressive Channel. There have been some
Shout out to the Impressive Channel.
major updates involving Tory Lanez's appeal case. Now, Tory Lanez and his legal team have been working hard to overturn his conviction. He was convicted of shooting at Megan Thee Stallion, and he's currently spending 10 years in prison. And his legal team found some new evidence that proves his innocence. For one, it was said that Tory never shot at Megan. It was actually Megan's friend, Kelsey. I have said in my previous videos that there has always been speculation that it was really Kelsey who shot at Megan because Kelsey was mad when she found out that Megan was sleeping with Tory behind her back. They were fighting that night, and the fight led to shots being fired.
Wow.
And the independent witness who saw what happened, named Sean Kelly, did say that he saw Kelsey shoot, but later on he said it was Tory who shot. So his testimony was very conflicting, but it wasn't what he initially told the police. Tory's defense asked him, "Did you say that after you saw the two girls fighting, you saw one of the girls shoot, sir?" He said, "I believe so," but Tory's defense interjected, "Thereafter, did you say that the shorter guy got involved at that point, trying to take the gun away?" And the prosecutor, Mr. Bott, tried to object, and the judge overruled it. And then Tory's defense asked again, "Is that what you said?" And the witness, Sean Kelly, said, "Yeah." So he admitted it. And now,
Bro, listen, so you know what I think? Personally, they've been partying all night. You probably couldn't count how many drugs and alcohol shots they've been taking. I think on Tory's side, I think he really don't remember what happened. I think he's trying to put two and two together. He's going off of what everybody's telling him. I think he maybe was a little over the influence, and he really don't remember what happened. That's what I'm thinking.
not only that, Tory's driver, who was there that night of the incident, named Jaquan Smith, said in his affidavit that he saw Kelsey with the gun in her hand and Tory tried to disarm her. Also, recently, Tory's legal team said that they talked with Kelsey's security guard, and Kelsey's security revealed that Kelsey admitted to shooting Megan.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Miss Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Miss Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody.
Oh, wow.
Never even touched that gun. Never fired the gun.
And that man behind them bars and got stabbed 14 times for a crime that he really didn't even commit and facing 10 years. Free that boy Tory, man. Damn.
So that right there is really a bombshell revelation. Now, some people might say, well, if Kelsey was the one who shot her, why didn't Tory testify? And why did Tory go online and say she didn't shoot her? And why was Tory apologizing to her on that jail call? What was he apologizing for? And why did he sound so guilty?
It is what it is. Regardless if I get out of here today or not, bro, I just want to let y'all know, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, I never did that shit if I wasn't that drunk, bro. Like, you feel me?
Tory also apologized to Megan and said he was sorry and said he was just too drunk. Now, Tory never specified what he was apologizing for, but he later on came out and said, "Good D had me effing two best friends and I got caught. That's what I apologize for. It's sick how you spun it though." And that's what he was saying in response to Megan. Also, there was evidence sent to the court where Kelsey texted Megan's bodyguard and said, "Help, Tory shot Meg." So obviously with this evidence, they were able to pin the crime on Tory. However, the major evidence that they completely skipped over was the DNA evidence. The prosecutor said that his DNA was inconclusive, but if you shoot at somebody 5 times, your DNA has to be conclusive.
According to the prosecution, Tory was excluded from the clip of the gun. DNA analysis showed that there was a 0.01% chance that Tory touched the actual gun itself.
As the attorneys laid out here today, the
That's
prosecution
crazy, bro.
failed to produce a single shred of forensic evidence tying Tory to the
That is
actual
crazy.
gun. His fingerprints weren't on it. His DNA was later found to be 100% nearly excluded from the gun, as shown in the worksheet that was provided to the defense late on the eve of the actual trial. There is a 0.01% chance Tory's DNA was on the firearm.
This has always been the most confusing thing about this case to me. It's the DNA evidence. That DNA doesn't match up with the story that was being told. We don't even know if he actually owned the gun. They put that gun charge on him and said that he was carrying an unregistered semi-automatic firearm. They never checked to see who the gun belonged to, but his DNA wasn't on the magazine of the gun, nor was his DNA conclusively found on the actual gun. So that could kind of lead people to believe that maybe he didn't own the gun. And also, it's hard to prove if he shot it if his DNA ain't there. And another thing that was weird is Tory's DNA was the only one tested that night.
There were 3 potential suspects in the car that night. And yet
Now, that's the crazy part. He was the only one tested. Not Kelsey, not security guard, not even Megan. Megan could have been shooting the gun and missed and shot her own foot. You never know how things may happen. He wasn't there. But that's crazy that his DNA was the only one tested that night. That's crazy.
only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense?
Whoa.
In fact, there were 3 people that night at the scene who tested positive for gunshot residues. One of those was Kelsey Harris, as Gianno mentioned.
Tory's legal team also alleges that there was some serious foul play throughout this whole case and trial.
Serious foul play,
Another
bro.
irregularity. Why, at Miss Harris's police interview, was a non-lawyer, non-family member record company executive allowed to participate?
The investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared. The gun serial number was sealed. A move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. The prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about.
When you hear it detailed like this, it does sound crazy. It does sound like there was some foul play. And also with Kelsey getting immunity, that was another thing that was suspicious to people.
Also, in my op-ed, Kelsey Harris pleading the 5th Amendment. She wasn't accused of anything by Megan Pete or the police, and to my knowledge, she wasn't under any investigation. So why plead the 5th? What also shocked me is the prosecution gave her immunity. For what? What did she do? Is there an allegation of her doing something?
I actually think Kelsey got immunity after she gave the prosecutors that private interview and told them what they wanted to hear for the case. But when she got on the stand, she acted dumb. She acted like she didn't know what happened that night. So she didn't cooperate with them when it was time for her to do so. But she did give a private interview stating that Tory was abusive and he also shot Meg. But it is weird that she was still on a phone call with him after she alleged that he did all of these things.
But what really shocked me about it is if my best friend was shot maliciously by someone just 2 or 3 hours before, I wouldn't have answered the call, or if I did, I wouldn't calmly have a conversation with the individual of it. And more importantly, I would never have given you my current location out of fear of you finishing the job.
I said Megan's in the hospital still. I'm outside the hospital waiting.
What hospital are you at?
Cedar, something like that. Cedar.
You know, I don't even know. I don't even remember what we was even arguing about, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, I figured he didn't remember half of the
I was
stuff.
already fucked up by the time you got there, so I don't know how much.
I'm telling y'all, this whole thing is very weird. It's very, very weird. And what's interesting is right before these new developments were to come out, all of a sudden, Tory got stabbed 14 times.
Tory was stabbed 14 times just days after a major national news outlet reached out to Megan Pete's team, Kelsey Harris, and former DA George Gascon about a story on new evidence in this case. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to see the pattern. When evidence was about to come to light, Tory was nearly killed.
So Tory's team is really urging the governor, Gavin Newsom, to allow Tory out while this appeal is being processed, because Tory's life is clearly in danger right now, and he's sitting behind bars for 10 years for a crime that he possibly did not commit. But his team needs to submit all of their evidence for this to really stick. And even then, I don't even know if that's going to be enough. Honestly, at this point, I want to see the video. I want to see what happened with my own eyes. I feel like there is a video out there, but I think it's being suppressed because it will reveal the truth. And who knows? It just might reveal that Tory is innocent. But if that were to be the case, that would be the last thing that the LAPD and the DA and the prosecutors want. They don't want the truth coming to light. It not only will make Megan out to be a liar and Kelsey to be a liar, but it will expose the corruption of the whole LAPD, and also it would expose the corruption of Roc Nation, Desiree Perez, and Jay-Z. Right now, Tory was found guilty in court of law, so he is legally guilty. But if it comes out that he's actually innocent, then he could sue them into bankruptcy, and everybody involved will be investigated. And that is a rabbit hole that they don't want nobody going down in. One thing I also find interesting is that whenever somebody speaks out in support of Tory Lanez, they all of a sudden face some backlash or get caught up. Now, Chris Brown recently came out and supported Tory and said, "Free Tory." Guess what happened to Chris Brown, y'all? He got arrested at a 5-star hotel in Manchester, and it was over this bottle attack incident that happened back in 2023. That was over 2 years ago. And this is alleged, by the way. I don't know if they actually have footage or proof of this attack or not, but it's interesting that he didn't get arrested when it actually happened, but he got arrested 2 years later.
2 years
and now
later,
he's
bro.
facing charges over this, and this happened right after he said "Free Tory." That is very suspicious to me. But see, Chris Brown should have never said "Free Tory." He already got enough issues as it is, so he needs to tread very lightly. Also, I do find it interesting as well, when Drake said "Free Tory," there was this campaign to take him down, if you notice. Now, I do know that the real issue behind that is because Drake was beefing with the head of Universal, Lucien Grange. However, there were some other people who had an issue with Drake saying "Free Tory." So you had all these rappers come together to come at Drake, and Kendrick Lamar was spearheading the anti-Drake movement, and Roc Nation and the NFL awarded him with the opportunity to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. Very interesting, if you ask me. Also, if you remember, Nicki Minaj was arrested in Amsterdam after she called Megan Thee Stallion a liar in her song Bigfoot. Her security was the one who had possession of marijuana, but she was the one who was arrested. Very interesting. I'm not saying Roc Nation is behind it, but you could see the pattern.
Wow,
and it
I
could
see
lead
the
people
pattern.
to believe that,
That's crazy.
something fishy is going on here. I don't know, y'all. But anyway, tell me what y'all think about this video down below. Please like, comment, and
Wow. Well, I'm gonna say it. Free that boy Tory, bro. Hell, they can't do nothing to me. Free that boy. I'm just playing. But nah, if you're innocent, you're innocent. If you're guilty, you're guilty. Now that's how I feel. But they said that his DNA was the only DNA took. But then they changed it and said that Miss Kelsey Williams, I think her last name is Williams, said her DNA was took as well, but they had that under the rug. And you see, everybody that was saying free Tory, something crazy was going on. Nicki Minaj was talking about Megan. She got arrested. Chris Brown situation. It's crazy. That's the industry, bro. That is how the industry works. But they should at least let that man come home. His life is in jeopardy, bro. 14 stab wounds. 14. One is enough, but 14? I think they said that he had a collapsed lung at one point in time. I don't know exactly what's going on with his lung, but I know I read up that he was had a collapsed lung at one point in time. So they need to go ahead and let that man come home for his safety.